Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we've got quite the situation to discuss today. I was actually supposed to take my break today, but then I woke up and actually saw what the Wuthering Waves Twitter page had prepared for us as a bit of a teaser, and I realized, yeah, that one isn't really happening. We're gonna have to spend some time on this, because ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves our first official set of 3.0 teasers with the promise of more in just a few short hours, because Wuthering Waves has posted this photo over here of your acceptance letter to Startorch Academy. Carry the spark starward as we torchbearers, or we as torchbearers, rekindle the torch on November 26th. And so at the time of recording this, that's actually going to be in a couple of hours CN time. So we are looking forward to quite a bit of fun in the next in the next few days. So what I wanted to do today was actually break down the significance of this teaser. What can we expect, what we can expect from the Wuthering Waves team moving forward, and some of my personal expectations for what I'm looking forward to in 3.0, and you know, what news I'm looking forward to when it comes to that version update. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right on into it. So first things first, what you see on the screen over here is that Startorch Academy acceptance letter. And if you're not really done with the 2.8 story yet, there are going to be some spoilers in here, so do keep that in mind as we provide some of the context. So we're essentially all aware that a big part of Chisa's story is that she is from Startorch Academy. And one thing that we find out during the story is that Rover was actually somebody that attended that academy as well, and they actually wrote something like a course selection guide or something like that. They had their own membership card. And another thing that we find out at the end of the quest is that Chisa's mother is actually there. Startorch Academy still exists, but it's in this weird phenomenon that's basically called like a void storm. It's essentially in like a snowy area, and the entire academy is like built by this other faction underground, and that's kind of like how they operate. And then the void storm comes in and then cuts off communication, and this radio over here, right, powered by Rover's frequencies, is one of the only ways that we're actually able to communicate with them, though it does appear to be a little bit one-sided. And Chisa, after finding this out, decides, okay, let's go. And so the idea over here is that we're going to be going, I guess, back to Startorch Academy alongside Chisa, and that's essentially how this 3.0 version is going to kick off. So I think a lot of people are already expecting things like schoolgirls, professors, teachers, school children, not really children because they're in college, but you kind of like get the whole vibe going from there. And we got to see an example of what some of those characters look like actually during Chisa's story quest too. So yeah, very like you know, educational academy sort of vibes. Maybe we'll get an outfit for Rover. Who knows? Alongside that, though, there are some other big things that should be coming in the next couple of days. And that is, of course, the first set of drip marketing. Because one thing Wuthering Waves did, not on the 26th of November, but actually on the 21st, was come out with their first set of drip marketing for 2.0. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, we all remember how absolutely, absurdly, ridiculously hyped up this shit was. Yes, they showed, first and foremost, a set of like little teasers regarding all the little weapons, little keepsakes, the trinkets that the playable characters used. You know, we got Phoebe's staff, Brad's mask, Carlotta's gun, all of that, and then the actual drip marketing afterwards. And boy, oh boy, was that quite a bit of a doozy. Boy, oh boy, was that something that really got the community riled up. And I'm hoping that the devs do something pretty similar over here for the newest cast of characters that are going to be coming for the first couple of versions of 3.x. Do realize that they only teased up to like 2.3 over here, so not actually that many versions. So yeah, hopefully we're going to get some great stuff in regards to this. And, you know, that's not going to spoil the entire lineup that's coming for the rest of the year, because we still got surprised by the bombshell releases of Septimont, Cartithia, Lupa, Augusta, you know, all that good stuff towards the latter half of the patch. Next, we've also got another announcement that still needs to be made, and that is the next stop, I guess, Lahai-Roi. video that we're going to be getting over here. This video where we had like Dong featured, he was talking a lot about, you know, summarizing the story and doing that entire breakdown. Then you get to see Renacita in the background and all of that on the train. And then an actual teaser in game. I'm hoping that we get something like this very, very, very soon as well. Just to continue building up the hype for what Lahai-Roi, what Startorch Academy are going to look like. And I think most importantly, give us a look at what the actual visuals of the region are. Because I think one thing that everybody knows for certain is that when it comes to the vibe that Wuthering Waves has had, it's been very unique every single time. And I think all you really need to do is like go to like this exploration tab to really like figure it out. You can see over here, right? We got like desolation, and then we also have, you know, like a rebuilding civilization over in Jinzhou. Then in the Black Shores, you got hyper realistic, super high tech technology. And then in Renacita, right? It looks like we're back basically in Fantasyland. Yeah, it looks like we're basically in like some sort of like, I guess like goddamn Dungeons and Dragons sort of like deal going on over here. A little bit like Genshin, if we're frankly being honest. And I'm hoping that we get to see, at least in Lahai-Roi, a blend of like that futuristic tech that we see in the Black Shores, but maybe like not necessarily at that level. Something that feels like, I don't know, I don't want to necessarily, maybe a little bit like Piltover from Arcane or the League of Legends universe. Something like that would be pretty cool. Like very like highbrow, academical, that sort of thing. Kind of the expectation that you would have from a, you know, specialized Resonator Academy in the first place anyways. So hopefully we won't get disappointed over there. The next thing that we have coming up beyond this teaser is, of course, news regarding another event that's coming up in the future. As we're all aware, Wuthering Waves has a bit of a partnership with the Game Awards. And the only way I can confirm that to you, and I think this pretty much makes it a fact, is the fact that we had Jeff Keighley, ladies and gentlemen, leak the official gameplay for Cartithia. Yes, guys, this happened way back in the day, and unfortunately, I can't find the actual leak, but I do have, like, a YouTube video from Rate Up Radio over here. But yeah, basically, we had Jeff Keighley over here, the host of the Game Awards, and I think actually the creator of the Game Awards. He was the first person that showed gameplay for Cartithia and kicked off one of the biggest marketing and hype runs for a game I've ever seen before in WuWa 2.4, which was one of the most successful versions we've ever had. Considering that Kuro Games has already done this with Jeff Keighley, they've already announced this, and they've already had an official trailer for the game for the last Game Awards that actually launched. Well, 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 ladies and gentlemen, I think the writing's on the wall. And I think the fact that we've already been given 1,000 astrites just for the nomination, and they're inviting you to vote for the game as well online. I'm pretty sure that these developers, I'm pretty sure that this marketing team has something absolutely huge stacked up and ready to go for this occasion. And remember, that thing is going to be, I do believe, on like December 11th. That's when these Game Awards is going to happen. And when you consider the timing of when we're going to be getting these teasers over here for 3.0, that would give a nice little 2-week break for us to get refreshed, a nice little 2-week break for us to, you know, for the hype to die down a little bit right before it kicks back up with another trailer showing the region even more in depth. One thing I'm hoping they do with this one, though, is not necessarily show as much of like the older version stuff, because that's a lot of what they do over here. They only save the 2.0 stuff closer to the end. I'm hoping they spend less time recapping 2.x. Maybe they can spend a good bit of time actually, because it is really good. But I do hope they show more than like 10 seconds. It's like 10 seconds over here of 3.0 footage, because I think there's a lot of expectations going into that version update, and that only happens when the previous version updates have been really good. Now that we're on the topic of version updates, here are just some minor things, not really minor things, but just some callouts on my end that I feel like are just going to be really, really, really important for us moving forward, just to like see what the future of the game is looking like. And I'm not expecting any of the teasers that you're seeing over here or anything over here, or anything within really the next couple of days to tackle some of these issues that I'm talking about. But they are things that I do want the developers and maybe the community to actually keep top of mind, because they would kind of be some of the more transformative things for the game. So first things first, I think we really need some goddamn new Sonata sets, ladies and gentlemen. And by Sonata sets, I'm talking about like a blend of everything that you actually see over here when it comes to both tacit fields as well as nightmare purification fields. Ladies and gentlemen, I think Kuro has done a little bit too much over here when it comes to nightmare purification fields, because the last time we've had a new tacit field added to the game was version 2.4, which was literally around 5 to 6 months ago. Yes, 5 to 6 months ago was the last time we had a tacit field added to the game. And I'm just hoping that 3.0 does something to alleviate some of these concerns. Because the farming process where you gotta farm nightmare nests and then farm tuners over here, and then you're like, you know, you got a bunch of sets over here that you don't really know what to do with because you're already done building all the characters. It's a bit of an odd dynamic. Second, when it comes to Nightmare Purification Nest, Kuro Games, I'm sorry, but it's time. It's time that we talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the direct power creep that we've been seeing in Sonata sets. All I really need to do is show you a 3-piece set effect like this, where it's giving you, at max stacks, right, 20% attack. Or sorry, it's giving you 30% attack and 20% crit damage. And then you look at another set over here, like, I don't know, Lingering Tunes. And this 5-piece set, fully stacked up, has a lower bonus than a 3-piece Crown of Valor. There are a bunch of sets in the game from 1.0, basically the Sonata sets that you're seeing all lined up over here, that are just objectively straight up fucking entirely worse than all of the new stuff that's in the game. And that makes a lot of the characters that use these sets feel a little bit janky. And so I'm just thinking, at this point, Kuro, why don't we just add some nightmare nests? And I hope to see news about this, because I think this would be really good for the longevity of the game. We need to add some nightmare nests to the 1.0 region, and you got to start adding some 1.0 sets onto here. You got to give some nightmare sets to some of the 1.0 DPSs and sub DPSs. Yinlin needs one, Jian needs one, Zhang Liao needs one, Jinxi needs one. It's about, you got a lot of map space to work with, and I think that this would be something that really helps alleviate the power curve that a lot of characters have fallen behind, because they're working with plus 40% elemental. I mean, do I really need to say more? When Windward Pilgrimage is in the game, this just gives 40% arrow damage and 10% crit rate. And then you look at Sierra Gale in comparison, and this thing just gives 40% arrow. It's not fair. I think 3.0 is the perfect time, right? We're going back to school. Maybe we can get some of these 1.x units a little bit re-educated on the right echo sets to use. And we can start bringing back up some of the performance on the roster that has fallen behind. Because Sonata sets, I think, are the easiest place to start. And in a way, right, they do help promote playtime. Yes, it does suck to grind a new set, but it's also, you know, good if you do want to make the character better and you don't want to necessarily do the easy method of just paying for their sequence nodes. Next. And this is a big one. Kuro Games. Where's the new endgame mode? And I think it is time, at least within this period of the game, we're going to be approaching close to 2 years. I think it's time for the third endgame mode. Because I think what we're beginning to realize is that when there are some periods of the patches, some periods of the versions where there aren't necessarily that many events to do, the endgame modes are the one thing that you're consistently still doing, that consistently still refresh and can bring at least a new experience. And having only, honestly, 2 of them that reset, Whimpering Waste and Tower of Diversity, having only 2 of these that reset is a little bit rough, and it's only on a 2-week basis for each one. I think it's time, Kuro Games, for us to go ahead and bring back this bad boy. Virtual Crisis Frontier Trials. The game mode where you have no time limit, all you simply have are a bunch of different buffs that you can choose that make the enemy stronger or that make you weaker, and a bunch of supercharged giga hard bosses that have a bunch of different modifiers on them. And the goal is to repeatedly clear these at a bunch of different stress levels and get rewards based off the stress levels that you clear. This has been one of the game modes that I feel like has been positively well received across a wide portion of the player base. It comes with a bunch of like different modules that buff like different types of teams, a bunch of them, so a lot of teams can be used. And having something like this that rotates not as frequently as the TOA, because I'm going to be honest over here, there's a lot more work that goes into this game mode. If this was somewhat regular, it reset like once a month, something along those lines, and then just, you know, had that capability to reset once a month, I think it would provide the replayability value, all of those good components that people are looking for in an endgame. You know, wanting to try out different teams, try out different modifiers, try out different difficulties. It just has that perfect blend of replayability, challenge, and perhaps most importantly of all, fun, that I feel like a lot of players are looking for right now, at least, especially given, you know, the age of the game, their growing rosters, and perhaps most importantly of all, guys, with that growing roster, people want a spot to be able to use their characters, right? There are a lot of characters in the game now. You know, there's a lot of reasons to build them because of all the new Sonata sets, weapons and stuff that get put in. We just want an opportunity to be able to use these bad boys, right? So I think that that's probably my biggest set of concerns going into 3.0 that I want to see addressed ASAP. And even though we're probably not going to see news about those in the next coming days, hopefully we'll see them within the next few weeks, because we got the live stream coming up as well for 3.0 after the whole situation with the Game Awards. As a bit of a summary for the marketing loop that we're going to be going through, ladies and gentlemen, as a bit of a breakdown, we're going to be starting off with this in just a few hours. Then we're going to be going on into what hopefully is a set of drip marketing. Then a follow-up YouTube video, hopefully detailing some of the issues, or detailing some of the new features coming, or the new region, new visuals, all of that. Then we got the whole Game Awards partnership, something that's going to happen over there. Then the Game Awards trailer. And then we got our live stream after that. So it should be a pretty fast-paced, pretty interesting set of days moving forward. And I'm going to be very excited to react to it with all of you. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.